All right, folks. Gabe Donnelly here. Friday, April 26th, 2024. I just wanted to make sort of a little bit more thorough, um, YouTube video here so when folks watch it, they'll have a little bit more of an idea, just a little bit more substance, I guess, to feel confident about taking it to their local law enforcement agencies, so that in turn that local law enforcement agency can contact directly the appropriate authorities out here, which is most likely the state police, Virginia State Police, Maryland State Police. Virginia State Police turns out to be pretty pertinent because of the attempts that I've made to reach them. Basically 5 attempts, and get into that in a second. But first off, go over my information here. Gabriel Donnelly, last name Donnelly, Oregon driver's license, 587 8590. No drugs, no weapons, no criminal record, no mental illness. So that's a really fortunate thing. I'd say, just, on the credibility front. So also my YouTube channel is Gabe Donnelly, one word, GABEDONNELLY. So you just go to YouTube and then just type that in the search field, and you should see my channel come up. I think its channel is officially at Gabe Donnelly 45. Okay, so that's important. I mean, I'm not trying to sell anything. It goes over a number of things. This is a hugely complicated case with a lot of different facets, and it's an impossible task to sort of boil it down into like a 15 minute audio, as I'm trying to do right here. But hopefully folks will just bear with me on that. I'm not a professional director or anything like that. It's a really scary, difficult situation, and so I hope people will take that into account. Also, wanted to say this is not beating my chest or anything, but I do happen to have this. I'm really big into sports card, in the investment grade sports card realm. This is SMR magazine, which is PSA's official magazine, and PSA is the top grading and authentication company in the world, the most prestigious. Just wanted to go over this because it kind of just shows how, just what I'm about and all that. This is a really beaten up, issue, but basically I'm on the cover of this. It's about Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, and so I have the number 1 overall PSA set registry ranking of Giannis Antetokounmpo. So this magazine here, to show you what this is about here, and then it's got quotes from me. Right now he's arguably the best player in the NBA. It says Gabe Donnelly, who owns it says number 3 Antetokounmpo rookie set, but it's actually number 1. And then it's got some of my quotes here. But these cards here, these ones here, these are actually my cards that I had scanned. They had me scan it for the magazine. It was really exciting. So there's more quotes here by me, but it's a really difficult thing. It's not like being in the cover of Sports Illustrated or anything like that. But you see, the collecting world is not a fair fight. I am pitted, just me, a sort of an average Joe, is pitted against people who have unlimited, spending budgets. And so to be number 1 or number 3 even, to be featured in a magazine like this, it really does show how just into it, I am, and just sort of like at the top of my, profession. And so, it's a big accomplishment. Being in the investment grade sports card realm is, it's all about authenticity, finding truth. There's no room for anything but finding the truth. if you want to, get that collectible or that card in the particular grade that that is going to be the most valuable, then you've got to find the truth about, well, what's going to make it the most valuable? What features does it have? Competition. How hard is that card, to find in that condition? How many examples of in that grade are there? How many are graded higher? What is one grading company likely to do on the grading front versus another? And on it goes. And so all that means is all of that points to a process that you have to find out whatever the truth is and to keep on updating your files, so to speak, with new information. And I just wanted to say that, for this presentation here, because this is some really scary stuff, okay? And the fact that I'm making videos about it in the first place demonstrates that it's not something that's normal, right? That there's no name for, and so that's a really hard thing. And I hope people just understand that. And just with the information that comes forward here from me, I think it's just important to understand I have a really measured, thoughtful approach, and I'm not hysterical or anything, like that at all. And so, so let's just kind of get into it here. Okay, so these Capital One numbers. Okay, so number one, my phone, both phones, they are compromised, and it's a serious situation because no matter what number I call, whether it's Capital One, banking, I wrote down Verizon, Apple, the police, 911 emergency services, they all end up in the same malicious call center, okay? So just as an example on the Capital One, here are the 4 phone numbers that I called, all right? This includes the back of the debit card. This includes a special number they gave me at the branch, on the website, and in the app, all right? And all 4 of them, they funnel you towards the same malicious call center. So basically it sounds like Capital One in the beginning, but then ultimately you're transferred to somewhere. It rings, and then once it picks up after it transfers, the static becomes noticeable. Interference. You can hear it's a different kind of reception, and then the person that answers, then it's usually honestly it's almost every time it's a Hispanic accent, but it's definitely not Capital One or anything close to a bank. The personal information they ask you for is just totally ridiculous. I actually recorded a conversation that I had, I think it was yesterday. It would be a lot funnier if it wasn't such a serious situation. That conversation is in my YouTube video. It's the one that says, when your cell phone is compromised, this is a nightmare. It's number 3 and 4. But it is, and so these are malicious call centers. But the key is I can't reach Capital One. So it's not a mistake like, oh, I was phished, right? These are brand new iPhones that I have, and I'm calling on the back, I'm calling the number on the back of my debit card, okay? In addition to calling the number that they gave me at a branch. So, right there you can determine that, wow, okay, it's not an irresponsible thing where he's been phished. It means that his cell phone it is indeed compromised, and it means that he can't, Verizon, Apple, police, 911 emergency services ends up in, a spoof call center. The key is on the 911 stuff. I mean, that's really, really scary. Hang on here. I'll show you folks something here. On the malicious app front. So this thing here, my other phone. See where it says uninstalled apps? That, from the get-go, when I bought the phone, that was there, and I complained about it. It's also in this phone here, the one that I'm shooting the video with. Uninstalled apps show up there. And in fact, one of the main reasons I bought this second phone at a huge cost was to establish this thing with the uninstalled apps is, occurred on both of my phones. It doesn't occur on anyone else in the the people I complained to at the iPhone store or on any of the demos. And so it's very, very clear that whatever this uninstalled apps situation is, that was there from the get-go. And these are not refurbished phones either. Has a lot to do with the phone being compromised. Okay. Also, well, okay, let's just cover what happens with police and 911 emergency services. Yeah, there have been times where I've called 911, in particular in Jacksonville. It was February 20th, February 19th, somewhere in there. Yeah, I was in a situation where I was trapped in a hotel room, and using my phone to try to call people to get the police's attention. And so what happened in that situation was you're unable to, it didn't let me call 911. It just whatever, call failed or something like that. And then when you try to call other people, it turned out that I would leave the messages. It would always go to their voicemail. And so I'd leave the messages. It turned out that the people didn't even get the voicemails until several days later, or didn't even matter, not in time. And so the way I saved my life in that instance, unbelievably, was I had to really think quickly. I had to call, I called Gold Beach, Oregon, my hometown. I got in touch with the sheriff department there, the dispatcher. I begged the dispatcher to call, as a professional courtesy from one law enforcement, agency to another, if they could send out in Jacksonville, Florida. And they did it, and it saved my life. And so that is very important to understand. What we're doing here is that I need, because of the situation with my phone and my car, which I'll get to in a second, we need people, whoever watches this video and listens to it, to take this to their local law enforcement agency and explain it. This video will help a lot, but I can't do it, obviously. And so it's really scary and frustrating that I'm even down to that point of needing someone else, to go talk to their local law enforcement agency so they can sort of professionally, contact law enforcement in this area. But what happens when one law enforcement agency does that, it creates an official record of the situation. In other words, it can't be sort of brushed aside by a civilian contacting the state police in Virginia, let's say, and then having a secretary or just one person, placed well, saying, oh yeah, we got it handled, we took care of it, everything's fine, right? That's what we want to avoid at all costs, and that's what will happen if we don't take these sort of precautions. I just can't underscore that enough, that story about what happened in Jacksonville. For a more thorough, chronicling of what happened, just go to my YouTube page. It's American Nightmare, episode 3 at the end. The last, 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And so also, there's a lot to cover here, but the reason, why do people want, why is my disappearance, my death sort of something that is valuable to somebody? As I explained also in the YouTube videos, you can start off with American Nightmare episode 1, but basically my mother, who's into insurance fraud, has gotten into life insurance fraud, which is about as scary as it sounds. And so my mother made a deal with these guys, Tommy and Jonas, for, basically, delivering my disappearance, death, in exchange for, the ranch, or a sizable portion of the ranch, or some sort of arrangement. And we have Winter Springs Ranch in Gold Beach, Oregon. It's a 1,000-acre property. It's immensely, valuable property. There's also something to do with the methamphetamine distribution and production business, which makes a lot of sense with the with the ranch being in a very secluded area of a secluded county, 1,000 acres. That has a lot of so it's a 3-pronged thing, and that's been confirmed by stops I made in Las Vegas and Jacksonville. This guy Derek Lonk, confirmed as much, that they're essentially expecting some sort of residual income from helping facilitate my disappearance. Same thing with Ira and Jody in Jacksonville, Florida. Ira couldn't even contain his excitement. I've never had somebody put it to me that way, that essentially that sorry, like my your death has to occur, and like, too bad. I mean, it's just like, wow. That's how confident he was that there's nothing I could do. And so that's the situation. Those three things are in play. The connection with Tommy and Jonas, see, they're very connected, is the best way to put it. And look, the people that I'm dealing with, it's no doubt about it, these people are there. It's some sort of organized crime. They're very well organized. They're relentless. There's a lot of them. I don't really know what else to say without sort of, I don't want to use certain buzzwords that make me sound melodramatic or paranoid, because that's, I can't afford that. So the other problem is, of course, the car. This car that I'm in right now, 2021 Honda Accord, light blue, silver, Oregon plates, 274JQU. So what happened is that this car was represented as being sold through Roseburg Honda, but it was a situation where I was in Medford, Oregon, and my previous car had broken down. The engine mysteriously blew up. And so I had to buy a car over the phone. And so everything seemed fine. They delivered the car, later that day. But, in retrospect, it's anything but that. It turns out that the salesperson, her name is Alicia, or said her name was Alicia, doesn't have anything to do with Roseburg Honda. There's a crucial YouTube video, I think it's April 10th, that I just put, trying to reach my so-called salesperson. It's like 4 minutes long, but it shows what happens when I finally, got her on the phone. It's very deceptive. It shows, once again, I guess the best way to put it is, even though it's only 4 minutes long, it does encompass both, suffocating problems here of the phone, always redirecting to just, a malicious call center, and of course the car itself being misrepresented, and it does have a surveillance system. There's cameras on, there's cameras on both sides. I have those white things over them, but I took it out. There's cameras looking back at me. There's other surveillance things on here. The car itself is evidence, and it needs to be looked at by investigators, period. And so that's a major thing, because the people behind this, the people that had the car outfitted with the surveillance system and fronted that it was, done through Roseburg Honda and yada, yada, yada. And this Alicia person is really on the run, okay? She knows that, she's big time involved, and she's been exposed. And so that's another contact that needs to be investigated, like, big time. So that's already 3 people, in addition to me, and not even, including my mother. So in that YouTube video, I call ostensibly Roseburg Honda, and so it's somebody, thank you for calling Roseburg Honda. It sounds like the operator. And I asked for Alicia, and she says, oh yeah, let me transfer you to her phone, right? And then she picks up, and she thinks she doesn't even realize at that point that the game is up. Like that, we know that she doesn't work for Roseburg Honda, and so she plays this little routine up, like, oh yeah, I came back or something, but it quickly disintegrates when I just am asking her a very basic line of questioning. So this is really important, though, to understand that the car was misrepresented to me as legitimate through a dealership, and it's not, and it turns out to have a surveillance system which tracks me, okay, which can be shown, and combined with the phone. Folks, just think about this. Think about how suffocating that is. It means I can't do anything or go anywhere, without them knowing ahead of time, and I can't call anyone, right? Anyone important with the information, because it redirects to these call centers. So I'm stuck there. So my only choice is to do it in person. But with the car as it is, they have advanced warning, right? And so that's what's happened with the Virginia State Police. I've been basically stuffed, like stonewalled. They've closed down. They've actually closed down the state police twice when I showed up there. You think about that for a minute. This is on weekdays, and that should get the attention of any law enforcement anywhere. The dates on those are February 27th. I think it was Area 45 in this Northern Virginia. I showed up there, and like 5 minutes later, somebody in a car showed up. Not a state trooper car, just a regular car. He sort of waited. Yeah, I was in my car the whole time, and then he came up to me and said, "Oh, by the way, we're closed. Actually, a water main failed, and we're closed now." Meanwhile, I was in my car, but it was just like, whoa! I'm glad I didn't get out of the car. But that was at the state police, and then again, it happened on March 1st at the Area 7 headquarters in Fairfax, Virginia. And so, yeah, I got there at 2 o'clock or 2:30, and then there was just, the door was locked, and didn't make any sense. It took a long time, but finally, I waited there the whole time. Finally, somebody showed up, came back mysteriously at 4:30 to say, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're closed." And I asked questions about that, and they were very evasive about that. For the cherry on top, I actually then called star, whatever it is, star 77, which is the state police number here in Virginia. And so, yeah, that should take you, of course, if you didn't have a phone that redirected these call centers, it would just go to state police. But of course, it went to the call center, and it was all crackling and all that. And so I said, "Hey, I'm just trying to find out if the state police closes on, is it normal for it to close on at 2 o'clock on a weekday, even though it says it's open till 5:30, and they were basically stumped, because they were when you call that number and it's redirected, they're expecting you to want an officer, and so they were like, "Oh, can I send you an officer?" I was like, "No thanks." That's a whole nother story, or sort of a pattern, is that they often will, I don't want to get too deep into it, but hopefully this is 23 minutes already of me talking as fast as I can. So yeah, that should be enough, folks, to for any person to go take this to their local law enforcement and say, "Hey, you don't have to vouch for me or even spend time verifying what I'm saying is true." That would be great if you did, and on the YouTube channel you can do that. But yeah, just take this video and say, whatever your history with me, say, this guy Gabe Donnelly, went to high school with him, or I know him through this way. And all the things I said. He doesn't have a criminal record. He's not known for being melodramatic. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't have weapons. He's not involved in any kind of crap. This is a credible person, and he's clearly spent a lot of time on this. And I think there's something definitely here. This person's life is in danger for sure, and we can do something to prevent it. We need to create an inquiry in such a way that law enforcement to law enforcement, an official inquiry with my name, is on it. But specifically, I need to speak to investigators. Whoever those investigators are. There need to be people who want to document the truth about what's going on, what's happened, and let's sit down and go over this evidence here, because there's a lot of, it's not just me here. There's some some serious, and this is serious shit. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. If I were to disappear, by the way, if things were played out that way, that's not where the crime would end. That's really where it would begin. There's a massive amount of evidence demonstrating that how much effort has gone into obtaining information about me, specifically for the task of somebody living my being me after I disappear, which makes sense, because with a life insurance fraud situation, what they want to do is make you disappear without a missing persons report being filed, or any sort of thing that would trigger any sort of investigation. So that's why, even despite my best efforts, I can't even, they've stonewalled me to the point where I can't even get my name on an investigation. So there's like no record of me being here. It's crazy. It's it's a really there's a lot of money at stake for the people that are involved in this, and the evidence I have is, I could go on for literally hours. So please, be a local hero and take this to your local law enforcement agency, and don't let them find a reason to why can't he call 911 or whatever. Show them this video. Okay, have them listen to it. This is why calls 911, doesn't get through. There are other instances where we're almost at 30 minutes here, folks. So this is literally the only way. Somebody has to do it. Get the attention of law enforcement here, because it won't work for me doing it in person. It's too predictable, and I'm too easy to since I don't know anybody here, they know they just have to turn away one person, and my recourse is very limited. So it's a really unusual situation that just need help with. So thanks so much.